Hey, what's up, y'all, and welcome to the Take One Podcast. I am your host, August C. Jones here, and I just really want to talk about Solo, a Star Wars story. That's really one of the big things coming out this past weekend. Of course, you all know we had Memorial Day or whatnot, so it had a little bit of extra a little bit extra help for the 4 day weekend, and then as you know, that we count like Thursday nights as well when it comes to the box office and everything that goes with that. So now movies have more of a little bit of a push. So I'm about to go ahead and get into the box office segment when it comes to that. So basically, just starting off, let me go over with my predictions from last week of what this weekend would entail. I already knew that Star Wars was going to be number one. I said Deadpool 2 was going to be number two. I had pointed it out yesterday. So, well, not yesterday, but last week, that Solo, number one, Deadpool 2, number two, the third Avengers movie, Star Wars, Avengers Infinity War was number three. Book Club, which had four main cast members, was number four. Carly was number five. I couldn't find anything to match that, but I felt that was kind of like funny. But in any case, that's what I thought my predictions. That's what I had as my predictions, and looking at it, I wasn't wrong. I had it spot on, because at number one was Solo, a Star Wars story, which over the weekend took in $84.4 million with a domestic total of $103 million, which brings its world total to $172 million. Then we have Deadpool 2 taking in $43.4 million with $218 million domestically, and then its worldwide. I kind of need to cut that off, but its worldwide total was $497 million. Avengers Infinity War over the weekend took in $17.2 million with a domestic total of $627 million, and that brings its world total to $1.9 billion. Yeah, so it's almost there in the 2 billions. Almost there. And then we got Book Club coming in at number four with $10 million over the weekend, and its domestic total brings it to $35 million. And so rounding off of the top five is Life of the Party, with the weekend bringing in $5.3 million. Its domestic is $40 million, which brings its world total to $48 million. So yeah, it's safe to say that I don't think Solo, a Star Wars story, did what they wanted it to do when it comes to coming in at the box office and everything else. When you look at things, it's a lot of things that can contribute to, what happened. It's a lot of things that people can come up with. I've seen things from being like just basically the money. I mean, you can look at it from, and I guess this coincide with the everything that happened backstage, well, not backstage but behind the scenes, of just the money that was put into this, because this has somewhat of a thing that Justice League had, and countless other movies, but it started off with one type of budget, but then everybody knows the whole thing that happened behind the scenes of them taking off Lord and Miller, and then when it came to bringing in another director, they had to change a lot of stuff. They had to rewrite a lot of the script, reshoot a lot of the scenes. So a lot more money went into the reshoots than they would have done normally if they would have just had regular, reshoots and stuff like that. So it was like, it's kind of like they had to have a certain amount of a box office weekend, whether it's debut weekend, have things look good towards its way. And they don't have a budget, but looking at the movie, you can kind of see that the movie was over 100 something million. So more than likely the budget was like, just originally the budget was like 150 million, or probably a little bit more than that. I don't think it would be 200 million, but I mean, it's Disney, but whatever. And then you got to account the reshoots. So you have to bring all of you have to bring all the cast members back. You have to redo a lot of the stuff, and probably a lot of the stuff that Lord and Miller did was probably not even put in the movie. They probably reshot it, redid it, and all that stuff. Then you brought in an extra more money. It was like, so you have more of a bigger budget to catch up to. So basically, with a movie, when a movie goes out, its goal is to basically, it has to make its budget plus the marketing back and like all that stuff. So they have to pay back. They have to make them what the movie made. Then on top of it, they had to pay off everybody that helped. Give it like and everything else. So when it comes down to it, this movie probably cost about 250, 300 mil, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, give or take or whatever. But just know that even though they didn't have the budget, announced or put up, that the budget is more than likely more than what the movie looked like it cost. So yeah, they have a big hill to climb, and this weekend wasn't a great weekend for them. I mean, it made big money. It made big money when you compare it to other movies that struggle to try and make the numbers that it did make. But when you look at the numbers of what it could have made and what it didn't make, it was it was crazy. Like I even remember my experience. I had took my son Friday night, and this is Friday night. This is not Sunday. This is not Monday. This is Friday night. Opening weekend, or it's official opening day, which is Thursday. But anyway, it's official opening day. You would think that a Star Wars movie would be packed. I didn't expect it to be like Infinity War, where you got lines outside the door of the theater and all that stuff. But I at least expected, at least, somewhat of a packed house. I got there, and I'll say at the most it was probably about 15 people in the auditorium that I was at, and that's including me and my son. That was it. And it was like, I mean, as far as the movie, I still haven't put up my review yet, but the movie was good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the best movie, but at the same time, it was like, I thought it would be a little bit more, and it goes to show with like the money, but also with it, the backstage, everything that happened back behind the scenes. It was like you had directors on there. They did their own thing. You didn't like it because it veered off of what y'all had planned. So you fired them, and then brought in another director that had to do countless reshoots and stuff and rewrites of the script to bring out this movie. Like, the one thing that I can say that a lot of people are comparing it to is Justice League, because it's somewhat of the same scenario, some way, in a sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it's kind of like the same scenario. But the thing is like, I did enjoy Justice League, but watching it, you really sincerely can tell that there were two directors. I didn't really just watched it recently, and it's like, yeah, you can tell it, and it's kind of clashing with each other. But with this one, it was majority sense as far as directing. When you are a director, and let's say you get fired or you quit or something happens to where another director has to come in, then it depending on how much that director does, they might get a director credit, or they might not. In Justice League case, Joss Whedon still didn't get a director's credit, because even though he did come in and direct a lot of the movie, it wasn't a certain percent of the movie. So Zack Snyder is still put as the director of Justice League, and I mean, he gets Joss Whedon gets writing credits, but he not the director. In this case, I want to say more than half the movie was reshot, because Ron Howard is put as the director. So it's like it's somewhat of a different case. But in any case, like, it was a lot that was going on behind the scenes, and I'm gonna counter this after I get done saying what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna counter this. I mean, this is this is gonna be a while. I expect this to be a little bit lengthy podcast, not too long, but it was like there's a lot of stuff that go on. Like, I mean, if you're like me and you keep up with like a lot of movie news and everything else, you already know the director and everything else that went on, the chaos, and just with the films, it seemed like the only competent, you know, companies under Disney are Marvel and Pixar. They seem like they have their eggs in a row. But more of like, I mean, we bring out more of Marvel because they're doing the same thing that Lucasfilm is doing. That a lot of companies, a lot of other companies want to do is make a connective universe. And though you can look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether you hate consistencies, Infinity War wasn't a perfect movie, but at the same time, it did what it was supposed to do. And you know, it's competent. You have this person in charge that's keeping track of everything else. Of course, you're gonna miss a lot of things or whatever, but overall, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has a formula that works and is making it billions of dollars. This is a $1 billion company. This is a company that came from just really nothing to, I mean, I ain't gonna say completely nothing, but as far as a studio and trying to establish yourself as a studio, came from really nothing, bringing out its first character as a not a well-known character and making it one of the biggest characters in, you know, making one of the biggest icons. Like Iron Man is on the basically one of the, basically I guess you could say, because like before you could say the most iconic superheroes were Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. Now you might have to throw in the hat Iron Man, Captain America. You gonna have to throw in the whole, like a few other different names by the time the Marvel Cinematic Universe is over. If they want to just say like this is the last movie, they ain't gonna continue, blah blah blah. You know, it's like Iron Man is up there. You know, they have a thing that's working, and then Star Wars is trying to mimic that, which is okay, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But they're not doing a good job. You know, they're kind of doing all the wrong things, and I'm not a big Star Wars fan to where I can say like this is what they should do, but it's certain things they do as far as making movies and what they got going on behind the scenes that they should kind of like take a key from Marvel and start doing that, and they just not doing that. One of the things is just they're giving the directors free reins over the movies. That's why you get one thing in episode 7, then you got another thing in episode 8, and then more than likely you're gonna have another thing in episode 9, and it's not really cohesive, you know, as you would really want it to be as far as the Marvel films and everything else. So they have like they're stumbling. They really are stumbling, and I know a lot of people with that, it turns them off. You know, a lot of people. I mean, it didn't deter me or whatever. I'm still gonna see the movie because it's like, though you having all these problems, there's a lot of movies that have behind the scenes problems that have similar problems like this. You could probably come out, you know, and think of one besides a Justice League or something like that was highly successful. You know, there's other instances where studios get involved, and a lot of people are like, oh, studios get involved, they mess up a movie and blah blah blah. But there's times where a studio get involved, change, you know, don't want to do what a director really want to do, and it ends up being a big success because of it. You know, so it's not to say that just because all this stuff is happening with Solo and everything that happened behind the scenes that it wasn't going to be good. This movie could have been great. It could have been one of the best Star Wars films that we have, you know, to date, or at least within the ever since episode 7, you know. But I mean, I guess that turned a lot of people off. A lot of people, you know, whatever. Another thing that, you know, people might be putting out is that I saw, it's like there's no need for a Han Solo film. Why do we need this? This is the movie that we really didn't need, you know. And it's, who am I to say? I say, you know, my opinion is that they should work on newer stories that's inquiring new, you know, characters. Maybe characters that not known to people like me who don't watch the shows, who don't read the books, the comics and stuff, the novels and everything else, or play the games. It's like bringing those characters to the forefront, to the movie verse. Let us see a newer character, or just come up with a new character. Get a director to come up with an anthology, just one-off story. Just make up all the characters. You can have it tie into have it maybe tie into the new storyline, but not have it majorly. Have it to where it's like maybe it's an era where Darth Vader, is still alive, and with the Empire, and they have to try and get out of it or whatever. You don't have to have Luke Skywalker, and you don't have to have cameos from R2D2 or anybody else, but you can have like maybe the cameo, or not cameo, but the presence of the Empire involved, and maybe have a person that's with the Empire, and just do something like that, to make up a new story. You can get it's creative, and then that way you can give a person like a Ryan Johnson or whatever just free reins to do this story. Do whatever you want. Don't have it connect to this, but do whatever you want. Make a great Star Wars story, and just do that. You have nothing to go off of before. You have nothing to have. You have to sit here and connect these dots. Like, no, just a free story. You never know where it can go. You can have another trilogy on your hands that people really want to see. But I guess that's like what in a lot of people's minds, like, we really didn't need a Han Solo film. How he was in the movies was good. We didn't need to know how he got to where he was or this and that. So I guess that's one of the other reasons. Another reason is that it's in spitting distance of other blockbusters. Weeks prior to Solo coming out, we had Infinity War come out. Infinity War, like I said, not a perfect movie, but people like me who've seen it 8 times or even probably even more is still going to go see the film weeks after, maybe even a month after it came out. Just going to the movie theaters, $5 Tuesdays, and just sitting down and watching it instead of Solo. Or, and then the week before, you had Deadpool 2 come out. It's like it was kind of put in a bad place. Maybe if they kept it in, like, I ain't gonna say December because you got Aquaman and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse coming out, but maybe November, Maybe if you did put it in December before, maybe Aquaman would have came out in November or something like that. But it's like when you're putting it in spitty distance of other blockbusters that came out before, it's like, yeah, it's like, even though it had a 4-day weekend, a lot of people aren't going to the movies on that Monday. A lot of people are going to family members' houses to, go barbecue. And that's where their money is going. So I guess you could say this weekend, as history has put it within the last years and stuff, that this kind of is a bad weekend, for movies to come out because of that. And it's a whole money thing. And then on top of that, speaking of money, it's like putting it in blockbusters before that. It's like people probably put in a whole bunch of money seeing Avengers so many times, and then probably seeing Deadpool, and that's like, it's either barbecue or Solo. I'm gonna have to wait. So there's probably a lot of people waiting that probably, just because of money restrictions or whatever, they probably like, I can't see it this weekend, or they probably might check it out, but I'm not really in a rush. So they probably might wait till this coming weekend, or the next weekend after that. It's like, I don't know. It was just put in a bad place, And it's like, that was just kind of, what it is. And then on top of that, we're just coming off of The Last Jedi. Now, if basically DC and Marvel isn't a testament to what happened, now it's not really true with every single movie or whatever, but it's about a certain movie. The next movie that's coming out that's by the same company, or if it's a sequel or connective or whatever, people aren't going to be excited because they got bad taste from the last movie. So it's going to kind of deter them, or just kind of like push them away from seeing this new movie. Because then you have basically the more recent one. Black Panther going into Avengers. Avengers was gonna do its numbers regardless. But since you got Black Panther doing what it did, and right now it's at $1.3 billion at the box office, and that's not only just because black people want to support black movies or whatever, because there's plenty of other black movies. But I mean that is one of the things to it. But this is the first big black superhero movie of its scale. You have other ones, but this is the one of its scale. And then on top of that, you can say that this is the best one. You literally can say, and it's celebrating being black and everything else. That's what it was. Black Panther was successful, but in any case, it was a great movie. It was a great movie. It had a lot to love about it. It wasn't a perfect movie, but it had a lot to love about it. And so people coming off of that high, Black Panther is in Avengers Infinity War. So yeah, people are going to go see that. They were so blown away by how good Black Panther was that they want to go to Avengers and see the next what happens after that. Even though the movie wasn't revolving around Black Panther, they wanted to see what happens, where the rest of his story takes him. And so that's basically what it was. And it's the opposite effect when it comes to let's look at the DCU with Batman v Superman. A lot of people had high expectations. They had a big turnout, but a lot of people were disappointed, were mad how bad the movie was, or how mediocre the movie was, or however you felt about it. It wasn't up to people's expectations. It wasn't the first Avengers movie. It didn't make $1 billion. So people associate that with Justice League, and not that many people saw Justice League. Justice League was a better film, at least in my opinion. It was a better film. It was better, it was more entertaining, but at the same time, a lot of people was like, I saw Batman v Superman the last time I saw these, they wasn't that good, so I ain't trying to do this. And so people just kind of stayed away from it. So a lot of the times the movie prior affects the next movie. And so since a lot of people did not like The Last Jedi, it was kind of like, man, I can wait on this movie, and just a lot of factors that play. If you ask me, in my opinion, it's probably all the factors that play. It was the wrong place in the year, it was right next to blockbusters. It was on the wrong weekend, it's the behind the scenes things that people had. The Last Jedi played a factor. What is it? Just the money, the hill that they had to come up, over, and just it was just a lot of things, that go against it. No one asked for this movie. Why is it being made? Nobody cares. I mean, people love Han Solo, but it was like he was fine the way he was. We don't need an origin story. It was, to me, you can basically count in everything going against it. It wasn't just one solo thing. And it's just sad to say. It really is sad to say, because you would want a movie like this to do good, or you would want to be wrong about a movie, but it was like, nah. And over the 4-day weekend, they said that they basically was putting it at 150 million, making it its debut weekend. It didn't make that, but at the least, they said with the 4-day weekend, by Monday it should make 114 million. It didn't make that. It made 103 million, which I had to adjust something. But which it ain't nothing bad. But when you're looking at the movie that it is, yeah, you kind of expect it to make a little bit more, or a lot of bit more. But I mean, it's a sad thing to see. It's a sad thing to see. Like I said, I enjoyed the film. Still don't think it was a reason for the movie, but hopefully this is a thing that basically, lets Disney know that, not to do it. But in any case, moving on, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about up in the box office and everything else before I get to what's coming soon and everything else, is that I just wanted to mention that Avengers, basically they said that it was coming out August 14th. And it was going to have a lot of deleted scenes up in there, which Basically, you already knew. We already knew that it had a lot of deleted scenes that were on the cutting room floor. Yeah, I think they said they had a 3 hour cut that they had to, push down. But so the deleted scenes, probably a lot of the scenes that we seen in the trailer. Some of them were just shot for the trailer, but it probably was some that was cut for time. So that's gonna be up in there. Target is going to have a Steelbook 4K Ultra High Definition version, and then you're gonna have Best Buy having a Steelbook as well, and it's gonna have a collectible in a 3 disc set, 4K Ultra High Definition version. So that's something to look forward to when it comes out. I probably might end up getting the Best Buy one. I don't. It's only exclusive to Best Buy, so you can't get it off of Amazon. You can't get it off from Walmart or anything else. That's only exclusive to them, because I know a lot of stores only have exclusive versions or a set of like a certain DVD. And like basically, also that came out last week was that the Russos came out in an interview and basically said that there was a like Avengers 4 was pretty long. Avengers 4 was pretty long. Uh, but it's still like they said that it probably won't be 3 hours. It probably will, probably won't. But for time, you want to get as many butts and how much money in the seats, how many multiple viewings, for people to see, and so it probably won't be 3 hours. If it's 3 hours, I wouldn't care because I'm gonna watch it regardless, especially if it's as good as Infinity War or better. So yeah, they said right now it's about it's pretty long, but they more than likely gonna have to cut it. But with that said, Avengers 4 lands on May 4th, 2019. Will they keep? But whatever. Other things that came out about the box office, nothing else really sticks out. I mean, I haven't seen Book Club really, not really. I don't know. Nothing else sticks out. But what is coming out this week is three movies. Three movies that look like they're very interesting and probably may end up seeing. First, you have a comedy with Johnny Knoxville, which making this appearance after a long hiatus in the movie Action Point, where he's a grandfather and he's telling his grandchildren about this theme park that he made, and the movie is just about his him telling what happened with the theme park or whatever. And then you have Adrift, which has Shailene Woodley, and she plays a girl who's with her boyfriend or whatever, and they go adrift in the sea, and they end up, I guess, getting stranded. So I mean, that look interesting. Great, just about a guy who gets he wants to get back, so he ends up getting this like computer chip put inside to him that gives him all type of abilities or whatever as far as fighting and everything else. And it's a computer guy that talks to him that takes over his body, that when he needs to fight takes him over and bam 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 and controls his body to do this. A comedy, a I guess you could say drama, thriller, or whatever, and then we have a action movie. So you have your pick of the litter. If you haven't seen Solo and you don't want to see Solo, then you have your pick of the litter. More than likely, the closest thing to what you want to see is Upgrade, which that is out of the three movies that look like the most interesting. They're doing something outside if y'all hear that, but that is like the closest thing to an action. As far as these movies, I would say, yeah, just Upgrade will be number one. Would be for me to go see. Uh, I don't know. Like, I mean, Action Point don't really look like it's funny. But I will check it out because I might be surprised. I would say Action Point would be the second one that I would check out, and then Adrift, maybe in that order. Maybe not. I don't know. But so with my predictions for this coming weekend, we're gonna have, I think Solo is going to stay at number one, just for the simple fact that it did 103 million. It may drop off majorly. It may go to 50 million, you know, this coming weekend. But I think it's going to stay high enough to where even if, say, like a movie like Upgrade does major numbers, it's not going to come close to, you know, the numbers that the second weekend of Solo is going to do. So I'm going to stick with Solo being number one. I think Upgrade is going to be number two. If Solo drops to 50 million, let's just put it at that number, 50 something million. I think Upgrade at the most is going to pull in maybe 30 to 40 million. So yeah. And then Deadpool is going to come in right after that. Action Point is going to come in after that, and Avengers is going to top off the top five. So I think that's where we're going to be at. Yeah. So yeah, those are my predictions. So number one, Solo. Number two, Upgrade. Number three, Deadpool 2. Number four, Action Point. And number five, Avengers Infinity War. That's my take, and I'm sticking to it. So I only have two other things to talk about, and I'm going to try and get through them as quick. That way it's not, you know, running too long. So Jamie Foxx has been cast as Spawn in the reboot of Todd McFarlane's Todd McFarlane. He is writing and directing the film. It's being produced by Blumhouse. And so they basically recently came out and said that by tweeting out a picture, Blumhouse tweeted out the picture of Fox, McFarlane, and Jason Blum, all in the picture to basically confirm that Jamie Foxx has been cast as Spawn. And it was a kind of a, you know, weird cast. I ain't gonna say weird casting because I can kind of see him as Spawn. A guy on Facebook that I'm friends with, he asked me about it, and so I basically just replied like, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I ain't kind of like confused. And this is what I told him, because Todd McFarlane said about the Spawn character, how he was writing the movie, was that Spawn was going to be quiet. He was going to be that shadow that comes in the night, and he's not going to say anything. He's just going to do what he does and then just escape. He's just basically going to be a boogeyman of sorts. And so I'm like, so you got Jamie Foxx, which is a really charismatic, you know, performer or actor or whatever, and you put him in the role where he's silent, you know. So I don't know. It's like, I mean, it's questionable. I guess it's not like a big thing, but it's like, you know. So I don't know. Maybe he's going to play Al Simmons as a backstory, but he also came out and basically said that that this isn't going to be an origin story. That he's sick of origin stories in a sense, and that this is just gonna, at least he said it's not gonna be origin story in this one. So if this one does good and there's a part two, he probably gonna go more into an origin, not origin, but more of the back story, whatever. But I feel like you kind of need to at least have some backstory to show. You don't have to be an origin of sorts or whatever. You can show little things of like little, you know, scenes of like his backstory, so people can piece together what happened to him, since he's not talkative. And he doesn't have to be Ryan Reynolds. He doesn't have to be Deadpool. I don't want him to be Deadpool, you know. But, you know, if you're not gonna have him talk, at least have some type of like hint toward the backstory. That way, people who don't know Spawn, they haven't read the comic books, haven't seen the first movie, don't know anything about Spawn, they would know. You don't have to have a full-fledged origin like the first movie was, but, you know, at least give the people that are being introduced to him something that it was like, okay, now I know who Spawn is, you know. So it's like he's gonna have to have something geared toward his backstory of how he became Spawn and everything, and what's about, you know, what it is about Spawn. So but I mean, I'm not against it. You know, I'm just curious to see what he's gonna do with it. I know Todd McFarlane says that the reason why he picked Fox was because he's seen him in like times where he's not speaking, but he's just acting with his face or just his body language. And he said he was impressed by that because that's basically what he needs. So in his mind, he can see him being Spawn. He can see that. So it's like, I mean, you know, I You know, is he gonna play Spawn when he's in the costume, or is he just gonna be Al Simmons? And he already said that, like I mentioned, that it's not your typical, superhero movie. That, so it's just, I mean, it's whatever. He said he has a trilogy in mind, but when I instantly heard that, that what put me in the mind frame of like, don't say that, don't say that. It's a lot of movies that come out and say like, okay, we're coming out with this movie and we have like a trilogy. We have 4 other movies in mind, and then we're gonna set up a cinematic universe, and they put all their eggs in a basket, or they not even just say that, not all their eggs in that basket. That's the wrong analogy. They put the cart before the horse. That's what it was. So it was like when I read that, I'm like, no, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. Uh, just keep that to yourself. Just say you would love to have a sequel, but you don't. Matter of fact, don't even mention the sequel. Just say you want to see how this first one do, and then we can start talking sequels after that. That would be the best form of like communication with this, as far as saying that you want a trilogy. Don't come out and say you have a trilogy in mind, because then it got us thinking like you're gonna probably try and set up that trilogy in this first film. If he writes a good film, I'm not against it. I'm not against it at all. But in any case, so yeah, that's basically it. They don't. I don't think that they have a. I didn't see that they had a release date for when they want this movie to come out. But seeing that he is, figuratively in bed with Blumhouse and all that stuff, so the movie is going to come out. Whether it comes out next year or the year after, it's yet to be seen. But more than likely, since they have their lead character, it's not long before they have other characters involved that they're gonna have, whether it's Clown, Malvolgia, or whoever, whatever other characters that Spawn has. More than likely it may go into production by the end of this year. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm just curious. And I think that's it with that one. And so the last story for this podcast is Andrew Lincoln from Walking Dead fame. You would know him as Rick Grimes, is set to leave The Walking Dead in season 9. Yeah, I just did a rhyme. Bam. But so yeah, it came out recently that he is said to leave the Walking Dead. And everyone knows, if you've been watching Walking Dead from the first episode, that Rick Grimes is essentially the main character. You have all these other characters, but Rick is essentially the main character. So he basically, comicbook.com had said that they got from separate or multiple independent sources that AMC, that basically confirms this, and that AMC should be coming now ahead of the episodes, letting people know that these are his last few episodes, and that he's only set for whatever for The Walking Dead. Well, the episodes was that no, not every episode have every single person up in there. They might have, if you have a group of 9, let's say. I know the cast is probably bigger than that, but let's say you have a group of 9. You might, on the first episode, you might have an episode with all 9 of them, But then the second episode might veer off with 3 of them. And then next episode may veer off with another, like 2 characters. And then the fourth episode may introduce 5, may have, not introduce, but have 5 characters in there. And one of them, and maybe out of those 4 episodes, Rick may be in 2 or 3 of them. So, I mean, it's not saying that like the first 6 episodes is going to be there, or the, this and that. They can spread it out through, because how AMC do. They have like a first part and then a second part, the mid finale or whatever. Because they have it like up in October, go to, 1st of December, or, the beginning of December, and then it comes back in February, go all the way to like but with him having such a big role in there, it's like I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but yeah. So he's only paid for a few episodes. The thing that people are worried about is how it's going to end. You know, because he might get put out in a way that where he can come back, or it might be in a way that he dies. So we don't know what the fate of it is. They haven't said it. So, but I mean, this is what we have to look forward to, as well as other cast members. It's not just Andrew Lincoln, but it's Denai Guerrera and Lauren Colin, also a part of a list. I think it was maybe a few other people, but also a part of the list of people's contracts who are expiring this next season. And if you don't know Denai Guerrera, she plays Michonne, and Lauren Cohen, she plays Maggie up in the show. And so they're I still need to catch up with the last episodes of like this year, the second part or whatever. But if you caught up with it, it's only a few people of the original cast that's here to this season. So it's like, who are they gonna get rid of? And Walking Dead is notorious for that, to killing big major people every single season. So I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, and also, I don't know how many episodes Denai is for, but I know that Lauren is, I think they said only paid for like 6 episodes for the next season. So she's in the same boat as Lincoln. Whether she's gonna renew or not, time with his family. If you guys don't know that he is not from America, he is from across the pond. I think he's from like London or something like that. I don't know, but or Australia, Ireland. He's from one of them. But yeah, so he's basically leaving the show so he can have more time with his family and everything else, and probably just doing, maybe having other opportunities that's not going to take him so far away from his family. It's going to, keep him maybe across the pond doing shows across seas and stuff. So, I mean, that is what it is. But, I mean, when you look at it, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of crazy because, like, AMC said that, yeah, basically said a minute ago, I forget how long it was ago, but they said something about a ending, maybe about 3 more seasons, maybe, but they need to end it real quick because I know a lot of people then dropped off The Walking Dead by like season 3 year. Different people drop off The Walking Dead. I didn't kept it consistently, but I know the reason. I know the reason why a lot of people drop off of the movie, well, not the movie, but the show. So, I mean, are leaving the show as well due to contracts and everything else. And but one person that we know is more than likely going to stay on is Norton. It was a smart idea, because he is a fan favorite, even over Rick. If Rick died, people would be like, "Oh, this and that," but as long as Daryl's, I think people are like happy with that, and they're more than likely gonna push him to the forefront. So, I mean, we'll see. But as far as their fates of these characters that are coming, these actors who are coming to the end of their contract, the fate of the characters is unknown right now. We'll see what's happening. Season 9 is being shot right now, so we ain't got that long. We only got like a few. We only have several months till season 9 premieres, and then we'll see from there. But in any case, that wraps up this Take One podcast. And if I forgot to mention, this is episode 72. And yeah, that's really it. Until next time. Peace. So hey, before you guys leave this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and give this video a like because it will really help me out. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And you see that little bell? That's the notification. Turn that on, that way you'll be notified for anything that drops on my channel. And if you look down in the description below, you will see all the links to my social media, so go ahead and follow me on those if you haven't already. As well as there are links to my other content that's on the channel, from movie reviews to podcasts to so much more. And I hope to see you guys here again next time. So thanks and peace out.